On this super review, let's take a look at these KZ-T1 True Wireless Earbuds. I didn't think I'd get a chance to say this, but it's kind of been a while since I've reviewed a KZ earphone. They've been doing a lot of different things that kind of look the same, and so I wasn't that interested in the past few things that they've released, but here we've got the T1, and this is different. So what KZ's got here with the T1 is a true wireless earbud, which I think is pretty interesting. These things claim Bluetooth 5.0, and as far as Bluetooth codecs, it seems like it's just SBC and AAC. No aptX, kind of a bummer, I suppose, but we'll see how they sound. Maybe it's a little bit more interesting is that these are actually a hybrid unit. So they've got a dynamic driver as well as a balanced armature driver, and they've got a charging case and ostensibly all the conveniences of modern true wireless earbuds. Now I'm a little bit confused about how these things are being sold right now because I bought these on KZ's AliExpress store and they cost around $40 to $45, but they were being pitched as a public beta. And right now I just checked, they're no longer available. I have a feeling that by the time I'm done with the review, they'll be available again, and hopefully they're priced pretty similarly. But yeah, let's go ahead and open them up, find out what we get inside the box, and then I'll spend some time listening to the KZ-T1 and comparing these to some other budget true wireless earbuds to see how they stack up. All right, so I've spent some time living with the KZ-T1 True wireless earbuds. They're not false wireless earbuds, these are true wireless earbuds. Spent some time living with these things and comparing them to my favorite true wireless earbuds, which are right now the Dudio's Zeus Ace. They cost around $30, and these are not much more expensive. These things only cost around $40, $45, or at least that's how much I paid for them. And because these are from a reputable audio company, I expect that these things would sound better. Not sure if they would perform better. And that's what we're gonna get into. So just to start with, like I typically do, I'm gonna start by talking about the build quality and the build and the physical aspects of the T1, which overall I'm pretty happy with. I mean, you can see the case here in my hand. It's a little bit on the large side for a true wireless earbud case. Even compared to my Dudio's Zeus Ace, I think those have a kind of largish case. It's not the largest, but it's a little bit on the large side. It's, you know, large enough that when you put it in a pocket, you notice that it's there. And these are bigger than that. My pants are maybe a little bit tighter than they should be, but I have a hard time slipping these things in and out of a pocket comfortably. Well, that's kind of a lie. I don't have a hard time moving it in and out of the pocket. Actually, I think the rounded corners help quite a bit there. It's just that when it's in my pocket, it's pretty noticeable. So I think this is maybe more of like a backpack carry than it is so much a pocket carry, but I mean, it is possible to carry them in your pocket. But the overall, just the construction of this thing is actually pretty impressive. It's just got like a nice aluminum metal shell on the outside. You got some chamfered edges around the edge. You got a lid, which is magnetic, which I like. It's got a nice satisfying, you hear that? Oh, that's pretty good. And then the fit of the earbuds themselves are not made out of metal. They're made out of a plastic, but they're pretty nicely built. The stems of the earbuds look pretty attractive. You can see that they've put some effort into the detailing. And the overall shape and the fit, I think it's pretty good. That said, there are a couple of minor details that let down the build a little bit. One of them is over here on the side, which is a USB micro USB charging cable. I don't care that it's not USB-C. That's not a big deal for me. It's just weird. It's actually not a problem, but it's just weird, is that you're looking at the top of the plate, or up top of the case. The charging port is on the side of it and not on the back of it. Is that a big deal? No, it's not a big deal at all. It just seems like an accident. And another thing that kind of seems like an accident, although this one's maybe a little bit less of an accident, is, all right, this is gonna seem like maybe a nuanced point, but I think that it actually has a fairly significant impact on your day-to-day life with something like this. So you're looking at the case as you would open it, right? So you open the case, it's facing you. That right there, that's not the left earbud, that's the right earbud. And that right there is the left earbud. So when you open up the case and you pull them out, if you're facing the case like this, you have to like cross, like, it's kind of goofy, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure why they did that. I feel like they could have done everything else the same in here, but just either switch sides with the earbuds or flip it around so that they're facing the opposite direction. What I found that I end up doing is I have to remember to open the case up backwards so it's facing away from me. And then that way it's just a direct left-right pull into my ears. And that might seem like a really minor quibble, but it's the sort of thing that it just makes it extra fiddly to have to remember which ear is going into which thing. And I don't know, it's a minor point again, but it's something that does kind of bother me. And when it comes to the functionality of the KZ-T1, there's some things that these things are doing pretty well, but again, there's a couple of details that I think just feel a little bit sloppy and a little bit accidental. And maybe that's a side effect of this thing being, they call it a public beta. And just to be clear, I paid money for these things from KZ's online store. So I'm not sure how I feel about participating in a public beta that I paid money for, but a couple of details in the functionality that we'll get into let it down a little bit. Okay, so the big things. Bluetooth functionality, actually pretty solid on these things. I think that the pairing was really fast, really easy. And then the Bluetooth range on these is actually really surprisingly impressive. I didn't expect the range to be anything special, especially considering my last experience with a KZ Bluetooth product. Pretty happy with the range here, very excellent. I didn't have any issues with drops or any funkiness in the connection, just overall very, very solid. Another thing that the T1 does, I think, exceptionally well is playback controls. All right, with a lot of true wireless earbuds, you're usually dealing with like one button on each ear, and what functionality they give you is kind of limited, right? You're lucky if you get, well, you're not lucky. The default is that you get play pause, but you're lucky if you get like track skipping. And you're even luckier if you get volume control. And pretty impressively with the KZ-T1, you get access to all of that. So just a single tap will toggle pause and play, and then a double tap on either ear will skip tracks forward and backward, and then a triple tap on either ear will change the volume up and down. And I think it's pretty cool that they include all that. Unfortunately, I found that the tap controls, like a lot of other tap controls on these things, were a bit hit or miss. Like the single tap to toggle pause and play means that these things are kind of delicate to handle. While you're moving them between your ears in the case, for example, it's really easy to accidentally toggle pause or play when you didn't want to. So that's just kind of an annoying thing. And then the double taps and triple taps, I don't know, maybe my triple tap muscles just not quite developed enough. But there were a lot of times where either I didn't do it quickly enough and I would be, instead of doing like a double tap, I just toggled pause and then play. Or instead of toggling a triple tap, I got pause, play, or I got a pause and then a skip track. I don't know, it was a little funky. Little things that I think that they can tune better in the software to make it so it's not an issue. But as it stands right now in this form, assuming that this public beta form is similar to what you would get in normal retail, even though I did pay for them at normal, whatever. Those little details in the controls and the playback controls, a little bit annoying. But even more annoying than that are two other issues with the software. So issue number one is that there are little voice prompts when you turn these things on, right? When you take them out of the case, they let you know that they've paired and they let you know that they've connected to your phone, which is pretty typical. It's a little bit verbose, but mostly pretty typical. The problem here is that the volume of those voice prompts is way too loud, like just obnoxiously loud, and there's no way to turn down the volume of the voice prompts. I think the best solution is probably just when you take these things out of the case, just hold them away from your head for a little bit, let the voice prompts play out, and then you can plug them into your ears, and avoid that loud noise. The other issue, and this one I don't really have a good solution for, is that the volume steps, or the steps of volume, there's a big gap in a very important point. So let me explain, all right? So if you're using Bluetooth earphones on a smartphone, or basically anything on a smartphone, right? You've got a pretty limited number of volume steps. And I found that between, let's see, on my Samsung S10e, let's say it was around like 80% volume, it would go from too quiet, and then I would jump up to, let's say, 85% volume, and it would just go to way too loud. So basically I found that the volume that I want is not available on the KZ-T1, and that's kind of a bummer. I mean, if you're listening to these things on a computer and you've got access to finer control volume, probably not an issue. Or if you're listening to these things in a music playing app on your phone that has its own volume slider, like even like a gain slider and an EQ, I guess you could work around that issue. But I find it pretty annoying, and frankly, it's one of the reasons that I probably won't end up using it that much. Which is actually kind of a shame, because when it comes to sound quality, these things are actually pretty good. Again, I mentioned I compared these things directly to my Dudio's Zeus Ace, which I think they sound pretty good. They are still limited by Bluetooth, and look, they're a $30 earphone, so my expectations are, I admit, fairly low. But these things definitely do sound better than those Dudios. The differences in the audio, let's see, how can I describe it? I think there's just a better overall sense of soundstage and layering and separation in the different sounds. I think that the general sound signature is pretty similar. These things have pretty pronounced bass, but not overwhelming. I think it's pretty well done. A little bit of an upper mid-range lift, but probably less than I would say you get with the Dudios. And then the treble, I didn't have any issues with sibilance or anything like that, and it's decently well detailed. I don't think it's excellent treble, but again, we're talking about a Bluetooth earphone that's got an AAC codec. There's no aptX, no LDAC. For 40 bucks, you probably shouldn't expect it, but there you go. But yeah, overall, I do find the sound of the KZ-T1 pretty pleasing. In some ways, it does actually seem like one of the better tuned KZ earphones. It's not especially high resolution, and there is a little bit of a noise floor with the amp, so you will hear a little bit of amp hiss when there's nothing playing, but overall I was pretty happy with the sound here. So look, out of 5 stars, I'm gonna give the KZ-T1 3 stars. And if it was just for the audio quality, if I was just rating like the build and the physicalness of this thing, the physicality of this thing, and the audio quality, it'd be like a 4, maybe a 5-star headphone. But the things that really let me down, okay, the tap controls is 1. That would probably take it from a 5 to a 4. But the things that really bug me are those really too loud voice prompts, and then the fact that I can't get the volume where I need it to be. If you're the sort of person that tends to take your true wireless earbuds and just max out the volume and blast your ears off, well, you probably won't have an issue getting these things to max volume because they'll get plenty loud. But if you want a very specific sound range that these things don't do, you'll probably find them annoying. And it's the sort of thing that I hope that they fix, because that's definitely something that they can fix with software. And that's definitely the sort of thing that they could work out in a public beta. But is this really a public beta? That's something you'll have to find out. If you're interested in checking out the KZ T1, of course, I've got links in the description down below. And while you're down there, you can hit the like button for the video if you liked it or something. You can subscribe to the channel, and then I'll see you on the next super review.